Bon après-midi, bonjour à tous et à toutes. Je vais
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be speaking in English, so you can follow the interpretation on the interpretation tab.
Dear Internet Society chapter representatives, it's a great pleasure to meet you at the African Chapters Advocacy Workshop, as we do every year. You're coming from 37 chapters this year, up from 35 last year. It's a great pleasure to see you all and welcome the two new chapters, Ethiopia and Comoros. The chapters workshop is a unique opportunity to build relationship between the chapters. The staff also treasures this unique opportunity to meet with you all. These relationships are important for ISOC Global to implement its objectives, but also for ISOC chapters to implement theirs, which is why we wanted to have this chapter workshop, albeit virtually, in spite of the challenges of the time. As you all know, this year was defined by the biggest pandemic that the world experienced in a century. Close to 1 million people have lost their lives from COVID-19 as of now. Moreover, many countries were obliged to enforce lockdowns, close schools, businesses, and other activities that were part of our normal life. As a result, millions have lost their jobs, and many more were affected economically, socially, and psychologically. The only bright story was probably that we had the internet that helped us have a semblance of normalcy in all this chaos. And the big news, at least for those who didn't know the architecture of the internet, was that it continued to work almost without disturbance in spite of considerable change in traffic volume and pattern. And those of us who are fortunate to have the internet could work from home, could meet our loved ones using video conferencing, and break the social isolation without breaking social distancing. And most importantly, our children could continue to study from home. But in Africa, we are still too few to be fortunate enough to have internet and to afford it. Only 40% of Africans have access to the internet. In some countries, like mine, there are even much fewer. And those who didn't have the internet were hit by the pandemic much harder, since lockdown meant complete isolation for them. Of course, remote work and e-learning was unthinkable for them. This is, of course, very sad, but it also opens a lot of opportunities for us. In the last few years, the internet was under attack in Africa because of security issues, misinformation, OTTs, and so on. And many governments were becoming less and less uncomfortable with the internet. This could be seen with the high increase of internet shutdowns in the continent in the last decade. COVID-19 has shown those who are fearful of the internet that it brings much greater advantages than challenges. As a result, we already see that many countries have resolutely started to promote online services. Personally, I expect and I hope that in the near future, African countries will be more open to promote the internet and less inclined to shut it down. And I am convinced that the future of the internet in Africa is brighter today than it was yesterday. But this change won't happen by itself. We should prepare ourselves to catalyze this movement. We should double our efforts to connect the unconnected, to ensure that the internet is open, secure, and trustworthy for everyone all over the continent. We should make sure that the lessons we have learned during this difficult year, which is that the internet is essential to everyone, regardless of wealth or location, is not lost after the pandemic is over. So I hope that you will use this workshop to prepare for this new era. Thank you for your attention. Have a great workshop and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dawit. I think on this, we have another Slido question. Evelyn, you can share it.
Yes, it's live. It's asking which device they're using.
I hope the internet, many used to say the internet is in Africa is more mobile. So I hope I'm gonna see that more people are joining from their mobile. So the laptop, the computer is still king in Africa in terms of device that people use to access. So thank you. So we can move to, and so thank you very much. So our second speaker is going to be my colleague, Christine Saegesser. She's the senior director for chapters and individual members. So without further ado, Christine, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to find my slides. I will speak in French today. Je vais parler en français, donc pour les interprètes, on va faire un petit test si ça marche. Je ne vais pas être long, mais je voulais juste vous dire encore une fois un très grand bienvenue. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. C'est un immense plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. J'espère que vous allez bien malgré les circonstances de cette année assez particulière 2020. C'est bien sûr dommage qu'on ne puisse pas se voir en personne aujourd'hui, mais ça fait quand même un très grand plaisir de voir un grand nombre d'entre vous ici sur l'écran. Donc, merci d'être là. Je vais commencer avec une petite introduction, juste pour vous donner une idée comment cet atelier africain aujourd'hui, qui commence aujourd'hui, s'insère dans la série des ateliers qu'on organise à travers le monde cette année. Donc, je vais commencer la présentation. Donc, à droite de l'écran, vous voyez un petit diagramme qui montre qu'on a actuellement 121 chapitres mondialement, dont 37 sont en Afrique. Donc, vous faites partie du plus grand groupe, de la plus grande partie de notre communauté.
Part of the bigger group.
Les ateliers,
as indicated by the pie chart, these chapters offer opportunities to meet with other members of chapters, to learn from one another, to exchange with the personnel of the Internet Society, to share experience, and to prepare plans that are aligned with the actual project of the Internet Society. It is also an opportunity of networking and to build relationships. This year, as you very well know, coronavirus has changed everything, but Internet offers the continuity of activities, and the pandemic has shown the importance of reliable and trustworthy Internet. This meeting is going to take, all meetings of chapters will take place virtually, and each region has identified priority areas to develop sessions. As you can see on the right, here are the lists of workshops that will be organized around the world. And today we have started the meeting of chapters in Africa that will, and this event will end by end of October. What is our objective for this week? Here is a small list of objectives. we want you to have a very good knowledge of the actual projects of the Internet Society and their objective. We want you to have a good apprehension of the subjects that will be discussed in this meeting. We want to have a clear plan of activities that will be concrete and be supported by chapters. We want also to share examples and ideas on the development and sustainability of your chapter. We want you to meet new people, even if the meeting is virtual. And finally, at the end of the week, we wish that you enjoy the meeting at its best, even if this seems to be complicated. We are impatient to discover the subject matter and the projects that are going to be presented. On this, I wish you good deliberations, an excellent year, and with this, I leave you with this picture taken in 2019 in Addis Ababa at the African Union Commission. I hope you will enjoy the meeting as much as you did last year. Thank you very much. And I give the floor to
Christine. Et merci d'avoir montré cette photo qui nous montre que même si on ne peut pas se voir,
that we cannot meet and see one another, and we're meeting differently this year.
So thank you again, Christine. On that, I would like to invite our Vice President for Community Engagement, Joyce Dogniez, for her remarks.
Merci beaucoup, Victor. Je promets aux interprètes que je vais passer en anglais, mais je voudrais juste quand même faire un petit coucou en français aussi pour les francophones qui se sont joints à nous. Ça me fait toujours plaisir.
I would like to remind interpreters that I'm going to speak in English, but it's also a pleasure to welcome all francophone people, and it's a pleasure to listen to people in your mother tongue. That is why I wanted to say hello in French, and I'll do my speech in English.
I promised to speak in English, but I thought it was important to be able to at least say hi in French as well. So thank you very much for having me today. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be part of any community event. And so the chapter workshops, the regional chapter workshops are definitely, as both Victor, Christine and Dawit also said, are a critical opportunity to bring together people who are passionate about what we do and who we work with very closely throughout the year. So thank you for having me. As Dawit has mentioned it already, it's been a very challenging year so far. So for many of us, things have been very different. They've been very different at home. They've been very different at work as well for many of us. And we actually see that the internet is even more important than before to people around the world. And I would have loved, just like everybody said, to meet you face to face and to be able to meet in person and to spend some quality time together. But unfortunately, that was not possible. So today's meeting is a clear example of the fact that the work we do is actually really critical. And despite the challenging times, what we see is a dedication from all of you to the Internet Society, but also to making a difference through the internet. And we see that through the high participation from African chapters and members in activities, not only that we organize, but also your own events. So for example, I had the honor this weekend to be invited by our Benin chapter to participate in a webinar that they organized to encourage more women to be engaged in the internet and in the chapter as well. And I see that many of you are supporting the goals of the Internet Society in many, many ways. I also see that, and I mentioned this on a call already a couple of weeks ago, that on social media, that many of you are also kind of design trendsetters, and that you are actually wearing branded masks at your physical meetings. And so you're setting a tone. The first ones I've seen were actually at African meetings, and now I see that other chapters across the globe are actually copying the effort. So I wanted to highlight that, because it's definitely some innovation that we've seen throughout these difficult times. You're also setting a tone to inspire others to make change, and to ensure that the internet is a lifeline in very difficult times. We see that through, for example, very high participation in the chapter-thon from the African chapters. And so I also want to take the opportunity to wish the participants of the chapter-thon the best of luck. May the best one win, as they say. So that's definitely, oh, thank you, Victor. I was ready to share, but I wanted to see some faces before. The African chapter community is also growing, and I wanted to add my personal welcome to the Comoros chapter and the Ethiopia chapter. Congratulations for the effort, and we're obviously looking forward to working with all of you. Now, Victor has asked me today to talk a little bit more about our longer term goals, and to frame some of the discussions that you will be having today and throughout the rest of the workshop. As I think you all know, and I will try to share my screen while I talk, which is always a bit of a challenge, but I will see if I can do the multitasking here.
I can do it for you, Joyce, if you want. What is better?
Service. If you can, then great. Yes.
Excellent. Let me do that.
Thank you, Victor. So as you all know, the vision of the Internet Society, next slide, please, Victor, is the Internet for everyone. I think you all know this. This is an ambitious vision that allows us to really keep our mind on the destination. So where are we going as the Internet Society? Now, to bring it a little bit closer to today and to guide us to that vision, last year we defined our strategic goals for 2025. And so, next slide, please. Our strategic goals for 2025 are to work towards an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet. Dawit mentioned this already. These are the critical pieces that we have identified. And so let me explain maybe in my own words. I'll try to what they actually mean, because they are 4 important words. But so let me start with open. We can say that an open internet is one where everyone can create, use, or deploy the internet and its technologies according to their own wishes, how they want. A globally connected internet could be defined as one in which everything and everyone that wants a connection can get one that is good enough. And we look at the next one, secure, which is an important one. Not saying the other ones are not important, but I have a special desire for the secure one. That is, we can say that the internet is secure when it does not make any person, organization, or society overall more vulnerable than they are without the internet. And the last one, the internet can be called trustworthy when it's designed, built, and deployed so that people can believe that it will not be a threat or not betray their expectations. So that is what we mean with those 4 very important words. These are ambitious goals, but especially considering the critical role of the internet in today's world, we believe that these are very important, but also possible to achieve as long as we work together, as we all work together. And so now how can we get there? So we've worked with all of you to define a path to achieve these goals. And so you may remember last year that we did a community consultation to identify the priority areas and the issues for the Internet Society to work on with its community, with all of you. And so to do that, we have identified 8 areas of work, or projects, as we call them, and to address them. Now, my esteemed colleagues, Jane Coffin and Joseph Lorenzo Hall, our senior VPs of Grow and Strong, will talk to you more in detail about the 8 projects later on, but I wanted to highlight how our community and all of you play a critical role in creating this bigger and stronger internet to create our 2025 goals. So I will start to go to what is leading us to a stronger internet. You can go, Victor, you can go to the next slides. Next slide, please. And one more. Yes, thank you. So I'll start with, as I mentioned, to look at the stronger internet. So you may have seen in the news lately that we have launched an internet impact assessment toolkit. And so that toolkit will help us but also policymakers and technologists to understand what may mean with the internet way of networking. You may have heard Andrew Sullivan talk about this internet way of networking, a network of networks. And so that will actually help us to define that, but also define how we can all protect it. And so we would not have been able, next slide, please. We would not have been able to define this toolkit without the input and the support of many of our community members. But I'd like to highlight the contributions in particular of the Senegal chapter, who provided their valuable insights in the development phase of the toolkit. So un grand merci aux amis du Sénégal qui sont en ligne et qui ont participé à cet effort. Next slide, please. I believe we all know the importance of encryption. Now, some governments see encrypted communication as a barrier to law enforcement, to counterterrorism and public safety. Alongside increasing threats from governments, some companies are also resisting end-to-end encryption for business purposes. And so one of the things that we did to bridge the gap between policymakers and the technical community is building and activating a global advocacy movement that is aimed at strengthening our encryption efforts. And so I'm very pleased to see that 3 of our African chapters have already signed on to the Global Encryption Alliance. I believe it's Somalia, Tanzania, and Liberia. So it's a little call out to the other ones that have not signed on to actually to go to the website and to sign on if they are willing and able to do so. I know Victor will happily share the link to the page, so you can activate that. So there's a little call of action for all of you here. In the next project, we actually look at reliable routing around the world, which is a critical building block for a trustworthy global internet. And so today there's a lot of scope for false routing information, or routing information, as some say. I'm not sure how you say it in Africa. It's routing or routing. I always get confused with the two pronunciations. Victor, how do we say it? Routing or routing?
Routing.
routing it will be. So we have an effort which is called Manners, as you see on the slide here, which is mutually agreed norms for routing security. And it overcomes this problem by establishing a security baseline, if you want, of concrete actions for network operators. And these actions are supported by a visibly growing community. We already have more than 200 networks around the world that have adopted those norms. And we actually also launched a fellowship program that will work with Manners ambassadors to train diverse communities on good routing practices, analyzing routing incidents, do some research and so on. And I'm very pleased to say that 2 of these fellows are actually from Africa. And so I want to say congratulations to Hiba El Tigani and Michelle Opillo. I hope I pronounced the names correctly. But so I'm very happy to see that we have participation from the African community in our Manners Fellowship program. Now, the next one is related to building an open, freely available standards for the internet. And so what we've seen is that there's a lack of information and awareness around, for example, how to set up a website using comprehensive set of open standards and security settings, privacy practices. And so the team has created a set of easy to use guides and resources and best practices to do exactly that. So for those of you who attended the chapter training program earlier this year, you may have followed the training on this particular issue. And many chapter leaders have taken the topic to heart after the training and then implemented what they learned and applied it to their own chapter websites. And I will actually move a little bit out of the region here for this one because it's creating a little bit of competition here, inter-regional competition, because we've seen that the India Kolkata chapter actually managed to take their website from a 32% of compliance to 100%. So now there's a challenge, not only an action to sign on to the alliance, but also an action and a bit of a challenge to compete across the regions and to see if we can get some African chapter websites also to the 100% compliance.
And the good thing is that we have a session during the week on open standard everywhere. So you will be able to learn how to take your chapter website to 100% compliance.
I will let them know that they have competition coming their way. I will let them know. Now moving on to the bigger internet, or the growing of the internet that I mentioned. So we still know that nearly half of the population still lacks internet connectivity. And many of you are involved in community networks. You are very familiar, I believe, with the projects as such. And I know Jane will go more in detail in terms of what is happening there. But so what we see is that we still need to work on changing policies and regulations, as well as providing the infrastructure to increase the connectivity. And so I wanted to do a little shout out here. I know many of you are involved in many ways, but I have picked one to highlight here, and that is our Uganda chapter that did quite an effort to raise awareness of community networks and advocating for change in their own country to raise awareness around this issue. What we also see is that many countries and regions around the world lack interoperable open internet infrastructure, and that there's a lack of strong local technical and operational communities to build, support, and scale that infrastructure. And so the teams working on this in particular issue are building local communities that ensure internet development and growth, that at technical level also supporting the development and deployment of new IXPs, IXP infrastructure, I should say, and that we engage with governments to do so. So as you know, our community is made up of organizational members as well as chapters and individual members, and they support a lot of the work that we do. So for this particular project here, I'd like to shine the light a little bit on community-driven peering series that have been organized. The next slide, please, Victor. Next two slides, actually. You can go ahead one more, yeah. That's actually the community-driven peering series that were dedicated to bringing faster and more affordable internet to Africa. And without the support of some of our organizational members, and you can see their logos here at the bottom of this slide, we would not have been able to hold this. So we actually, we got some sponsors that supported the organization, sponsors and partners who actually supported the organization of these events. And last but not least, we know that measuring the internet through any lens on a global scale is very difficult. And so what is more is that policymakers, the researchers, journalists, and others have no one place where they can find answers to questions about the current state of the internet. And so what we've done is actually look at building a platform that will use and process third-party measurement data to generate an easy to find and an easy to use place with useful information related to the internet. So as you can see, a lot of things are happening, and thanks to the fact that we do this together, we would not be able to advance any of the work we do without the support of our community, without the support of all of you. And the collaboration that we have in advancing the issues that matter for the internet and for the people using the internet. So the road to our vision is a long one. The vision of the internet is for everyone, but working together will actually get us closer in achieving the vision, but also our strategic goals for an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet in 2025. You can move ahead, Victor. There's one slide on time security, but we can move ahead, yes. I'd like to end on some numbers because we are here today with a part, and it's actually a big part because I see we are almost at 100 participants. But so we're here with a big part of the African Internet Society community, but you are part of a global community of over 70,000 individuals who actually said that they believe in what we do. You're also part of 131 chapters and special interest groups globally with volunteers who every day give their time and their passion to this vision, to those strategic goals, and to really make a difference in the world. You do this together with nearly 100 organizations who support us, not only financially, but also with support to actually achieve the important work that we're doing. And so I wanted to take a moment to pause on this and to actually say thank you. To say thank you for everything that you do every day, for the passion that you bring to this organization, for the energy that you actually spend, and the fact that you are here following the chapter workshop from home or from work, as we've seen from the poll, is actually critically important. I know for some of you, it means that you probably have children running around because you're still stuck at home and they can't go to school, and that maybe you have your husband who's doing, or wife, who is doing some work sitting next to you because he or she can still not go to home. And so she's probably listening to the same presentation. He or she is listening to the same presentation, not because of choice, but because you're sitting together. For some of you, it's probably still difficult to get to work. You have to wear a mask the whole day. You have to, so it's even more difficult than what it used to be. So I want to say thank you. I am very heartwarmed to see everything you do every single day, and I will pause here and leave you with that note of gratitude, because I know Victor has a full agenda, and I know he will keep you busy for the remainder of the workshop. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Joyce. Thank you for the kind words, and I will join you also to thank our community, our chapter leaders and members for taking time to join us today. And we truly all work together to ensure an internet for everyone. So before we move, as I said, online meeting are very difficult. I want you to remain active and remain focused. So before we move to the next point, if Evelyn, you can share another quick Slido question. And then I believe it will be based on, Evelyn, are you?
Yes, I've shared one. I've asked which was best on actually Christine's presentation. So let's see who was paying attention.
Let me see if I can have it. We can see that people were paying close attention, so that's
well done.
That's good. Well done, everyone. So thank you for your attention. So on that, I would like to invite our community member, and thank you again, Joyce, for joining us. I hope you have a few minutes to stay until we end the opening session. So I was saying, I would like to invite our community member and leader of Zimbabwe chapter. She's also the African representative, elected representative to the chapter Advocacy Council Steering Committee. So without further ado, I would like to invite Wadzanai to speak for her opening remarks.
Victor, I'm sorry, Salim raised a hand, and maybe the question is for Joyce.
Oh, thank you, Esther. Thank you.
Are they unmuted? Who was it again? Esther? Who raised the question? Salim.
I can see that Salim doesn't have the audio connected, so he cannot speak. we can't hear him anyway. So Salim, if you can please type your question or comment in the chat. And also for everyone, feel free to raise your hand to speak or just type your question or comment or observation in the chat room. So thank you. So on that, I would like to invite Wadzanai, you have the floor. Hope you're here. I can't see everyone on the screen. And Christine, you can. Christine is. Wadzanai, are you around?
Wadzanai, we can see you, but not hear you yet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everyone. I would like to make a warm welcome to all delegates. With great pleasure, I'm a part of this meeting. I haven't been a part of any advocacy meeting in person. This is my first meeting, and fortunately or unfortunately, it's a virtual meeting. But we all know with virtual meetings, a lot of things are unique. The first being that there's lots of teething problems. I had a lot of problems getting into the meeting room. There was technical problems. You know, when you come here, I'm having technical problems to share my virtual screen. That's why you can see me instead of the nice screen, virtual screen. And also, I would just like to say, when it comes to virtual meetings, it's all encompassing. Just like what Joyce was saying, you might just hear my twins. I've got twins who are 3 years old. If you hear them running in here, you should know what is happening. And also the multitasking screen thing, changing your screen and speaking. So I'm not using any screen. This is me. This is Wadzanai Ndlovu from Zimbabwe. And I'm also your chapter representative, the African chapter representative in the Chapter Advisory Council. Thank you for electing me for that position, and I hope you elect me again. And now campaigning. Okay, the other thing is what Mr. Dawit said, what David said, and what Joyce said, it resonates a lot with what we are having. Because of the pandemic, we are not meeting, we are having virtual meetings, but also because of the pandemic, lockdowns came, social ills, especially when we're in Africa, you know, a lockdown has got some social and economic implications. But I want us to highlight more on the brighter side of the pandemic for us this year, is that we have realized the need for internet access in Africa. If we are looking at other countries, I know Mr. David mentioned his country, but for my country as well, you realize the children that are in the rural areas are really, really deprived. They not only do not have internet, but they also do not have even gadgets, because most of the lessons now were being passed through WhatsApp or whatever phones. They don't have network, they don't have the devices are overpriced, and they don't have even the computers and everything. So I take that as an up, because it gives us the need for us to fill the digital gap in Africa. I know Zimbabwe is not special, it's happening everywhere. There is the need for us to gap the digital divide from rural to urban, I think, number one, and then from women to men, number two. But when we do that, we also need to address the issue of devices. Just the cost of a device is very, very expensive. And then we speak about networking, we speak about access to the internet and everything. I won't talk much. I would like to say also, as the pandemic came, for me, what I
Did she freeze?
Yeah, I think we was in a connectivity issue. This is the reality of the continent. We were talking about measuring the internet in order to ensure not only that it's available for everyone, but also quality internet is available for everyone that is resilient and stable. So when we are waiting for this for Wadzanai to come back, maybe Evelyn, you can share another Slido question.
Yes, I shared one for the Chapter Advisory Council while she was speaking. So
Yeah. Oh.
Those who didn't get the poll can.
Multitasking here.
Yeah, most of them got it right. All of them got it right.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I am truly happy that we have our chapter leaders here. As I just mentioned, if you are taking time to join this meeting, this truly shows that you are an active, a very active member of the Internet Society community. And thank you again for that, despite all the challenges for being able to join this virtual meeting. So while we are waiting for Wadzanai, I think we can move ahead, and I would like to invite our board member, Maimouna Diop, elected by our chapters, former president of Internet Society Senegal chapter, but he is joining us today with her hat as the board of trustee of the Internet Society. And I will give her the floor for remarks and to officially open the workshop. You have the floor, Maimouna. Make sure that Maimouna can. So Maimouna, you have the floor.
As we wait for her, I have
hello. Hi,
yes,
everyone.
Maimouna, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Victor. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to join this meeting. It's an honor and a pleasure to join the meeting today. It is my first time at this meeting as member of the board. I would like to express my thanks to all those chapters who joined their voice and vote for me as a representative of the chapter in the board. Je voudrais d'abord remercier Victor de m'avoir donné l'opportunité de participer à cette rencontre qui est hyper importante pour tous les chapitres africains. Et aussi profiter de l'occasion pour vous remercier tous pour votre soutien pendant les élections. Et ce soutien m'a permis de gagner les élections. Et ça a été tellement... ça a été... je vais démarrer ma vidéo. Je ne sais pas si vous me voyez. En fait, je n'arrive pas à démarrer moi-même, ni le micro, ni la vidéo. On ne me donne pas la main. Voilà,
voilà, là on te voit, Maimouna, oui.
Voilà. Donc, dire que j'étais vraiment ravie que ces élections se soient passées et que les chapitres africains puissent être représentés à ce niveau-là, parce que c'est important. Je viens de voir dans les statistiques qu'on a 37 chapitres, c'est pas rien. Et je voudrais vraiment remercier l'ensemble des membres des chapitres, parce que je sais ce que c'est que d'être membre d'un chapitre. Je suis dans les chapitres depuis 1996 et c'est pas évident. Et surtout avec cette période de Covid où on travaille plus que d'habitude parce que c'est du virtuel. Donc, en plus, si on doit donner du temps au chapitre, j'imagine que c'est un vrai challenge qu'il faut relever. Donc, vraiment vous dire tout l'honneur que j'ai et la fierté d'être avec vous aujourd'hui. Et vous dire qu'aujourd'hui, en Afrique, on a de vrais challenges. Selon le GSMA, on a à peu près 747 millions d'Africains qui sont connectés à Internet, à leur téléphone au niveau de l'Afrique au sud du Sahara. Mais seulement 250 millions utilisent un smartphone. Il y a 10 Africains qui sont pas connectés sur 45. Donc, c'est quand même beaucoup, c'est énorme. Et si on tient compte aussi de tout le développement technologique aujourd'hui qui se passe avec l'intelligence artificielle, tout ce qui se développe comme outil, on a encore un gap qui est en train de se creuser davantage. Et c'est tout aujourd'hui aussi le challenge d'Internet Society qui a depuis le début dit qu'il faut que l'Internet soit partout et pour tout le monde. Et le challenge aujourd'hui de la connectivité, elle est individuelle. Avant, on mettait des centres d'accès, les écoles avaient des salles de connexion. Mais aujourd'hui, il faut connecter les individus. Et ça rend encore le challenge beaucoup plus éloquent. Donc, pour dire que avoir ce niveau de présence dans la partie stratégique qui va regarder au-delà de ce que Joyce disait aujourd'hui, du court terme, mais regarder dans le long terme. Comment on peut rendre l'Internet accessible, l'Internet sécurisé, l'Internet disponible et de bonne qualité pour tout le monde? Comment cet Internet-là peut être utile aujourd'hui pour la relance économique? Parce qu'après la pandémie, il faut relancer l'économie. Donc, il faut que cette relance économique-là se fasse. Et tous les États, c'est peut-être heureux ou malheureux quelque part, mais aujourd'hui, tout le monde sait combien Internet est important. Tout le monde. Il n'y a pas un seul État aujourd'hui qui ne sait pas quelle est l'importance de l'Internet parce que l'économie, la relance de l'économie va dépendre de cela. Je vais vous dire encore une fois, les challenges sont là. Ça ne va pas être évident, mais je pense qu'en se donnant tous la main, en donnant ce qu'on sait plus de faire, c'est le volontariat, c'est le cœur, c'est un don de soi pour la communauté, parce que cette communauté est importante pour nous. Je pense qu'on va y arriver. Avant d'ouvrir la session, I would like to say some words in English for those who do not speak English, because even if we are French speaking, we have some broken English, so we can express ourselves in English. I would like to thank all my colleagues from the chapters, African chapters, and also the global chapters for this confidence when they vote for me at the board. It's very important to have at the strategic level someone coming from developing country, and I'm very proud to be your ambassador. I'm your extraordinary ambassador and the board, and do not hesitate to send a mail, to call. I'm not on WhatsApp, but sometimes someone can join me in WhatsApp. It's Victor. So you can send it to Victor and he will transfer to me. And I'm also at the WhatsApp group of the chapter. And I'm very, very proud to be here today. And sur ce, je déclare ouvert la session des chapitres africains. Et je souhaite plein succès à vos travaux. Et je vous remercie encore une fois, Victor.
And I wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Mai, pour les chaleureuses remarques.
Thank you, Maimouna, for these kind words. I will not add to what you have just said, because I feel we have said everything that was needed. And I think that everyone can applaud. Thank you again, Maimouna, for these remarks. So I think we have finished the opening ceremony. So we have just finished the opening session for this workshop. As you can see, the agenda, we have many activities, but I think that we can all share our experiences. Joyce, Maimouna, and Christine have said it is important for us to work together to go further.